Good morning, and thank you very much for joining us. I can say what I said yesterday, which is Barika de Salah, even though it's the wind down. Yesterday was the big day. All the rams were slaughtered. The jaws were munching and munching and munching. Toothpicks were out in full force, and you know the rest. It was a lovely time. For all Nigerians, not just the Muslims. The Christian friends joined with the Muslim friends. Well, my guest this morning, I'm sure he also partook of it. Yes. Honorable Mike Igini, Resident Electoral Commissioner, Akwa Ibom State. Mike, it's great to see you again.
Thank you very much. It's my pleasure.
Indeed, indeed.
Thank you for inviting me.
Sure. Our pleasure.
As we wish our brothers and sisters happy Salah.
Happy Salah, yes. Indeed, indeed. Now, of course, the big news is, well, there's so much on the political horizon. Maybe, and a lot of it is on the partisan side, but let's come now to the technical side of it. You guys are the umpires, you know. You guys are in there, you know, I'm talking about the Independent National Electoral Commission. You guys are the organizers, and no doubt you're studying all aspects of the big one, which is the 2019 election, and then there are processes that lead right up to it. I thought we could have a conversation, now that you're in Lagos, we could have a conversation on what challenges, from the point of view of someone like your body, an adjudicator, a regulator, what challenges you note. Pretty much the laws and, you know, the guidelines in INEC have covered everything, but we still have primaries to go. I wonder if there are any concerns about the primaries. Maybe we could start there.
Okay, thank you very much, Mr. Yori. As of today, it's just 177 days, 23 hours, about 15 seconds to the opening of the poll.
Okay.
On the 16th of February 2019 for the first phase of election.
That's how closely it's being monitored, right?
Absolutely. And 2 weeks after, on the 2nd of March, we'll be having the governorship and state house of assembly elections. It will be recalled that as a commission, the preparation for 2019 actually commenced immediately after the report of the 2015 election was accepted, interestingly, in Akwa Ibom State in 2015. And that signaled the commencement for 2019 elections. Again, it will also be recalled that somewhere around January, a year before the 2019 we are talking, the commission came out with a broad outline, the timetable containing all the activities by the political parties on the part of INEC leading to the 2019 election. We have also, so clearly it was at that time that 16th of February was fixed for the 2019 election in respect to the presidential and the National Assembly election, which is the first phase of election, and 2 weeks later, on the 2nd of March, we'll be having the governorship election. So clearly, the idea is that going forward in future, as we normally have in other parts of the world, there is sanctity of the time election will ever hold in Nigeria. Okay. Now, since that time, on the part of INEC, way back on the 27th of April, we have commenced the process of the voter registration exercise on a continuous basis.
Wait a minute, Mike. Thank you very much,
yes.
Of course. And I want to know about all of these.
Yes.
I guess what you're doing is you're like starting from the beginning.
Okay.
That's what you're doing.
Yes,
but
exactly.
I wanted to know if, because all of these things will probably touch on
okay, I get the point.
I
get the point. I get the point.
This can be very
I wanted to give you a background.
Sort of context.
Yeah, a context, all right.
Oh, okay.
But fine.
Because
I agree with
are
you.
they family affairs, or is the commission going to be interested?
No. So let me inform you on that. The interesting thing is that from that timetable, on the 17th of this month, we issued a timetable that we call the notice of election. Notice of election flagging off the primaries for all political parties as from on the 18th of this month. And that will end on the 7th of October. That is, the primaries, issues arising from the primaries will be expected to be handled by on the 7th of October. Now, with respect to primaries, which is the real first democratic threshold that we must cross and pass through, is that under the Electoral Act, political parties are the ones to nominate through primaries, convention, the candidates they will tend to feed for the 2019 election. Right. Statutorily, under Section 85, the business of INEC is to monitor and observe the primary processes. Now, modern democracy is inconceivable without political parties. And indeed, in Nigeria, we don't have provision for independent candidacy. Mm-hmm. And so, the first primary duty of political parties is to, in a democracy, is to present candidates that will contest election on behalf of their parties to the electorate. And that is why we have been having our problem as a people, because of the absence of internal party democracy.
I thought that was supposed to be getting better.
Well, there are efforts, and we are very hopeful that now the president is back, that in the days ahead, the president will sign the proposed bill on his table. Because on account of what we have gone through, because the fortune of political parties could be determined by the nature of the primary. As a matter of fact, what would define 2019, the atmosphere leading to 2019, will be the way and manner the primaries will be conducted in Nigeria.
That is why I jumped in with both feet on this particular issue.
Absolutely, because the primary process has been very challenging for political parties. How do you explain, for instance? Now, for example, Section 87 says that political parties could adopt either direct primaries or indirect primaries. As we have known over the years, until recently now, that at least I begin to hear conversation around the issue about we want direct primaries.
Indeed.
Because a direct primary, as envisaged under the law, will actually give a better opportunity to a member of political party to have a say in the choice of a candidate.
That was why I was asking, isn't it supposed to be getting better nowadays?
Well,
with parties announcing that, oh, we shall adopt direct primaries.
That would be beautiful, but there's a challenge that can also be resolved there, because there's a challenge with respect to that. But what we have observed over time is that parties have already preferred delegate system. The delegate system is fraught with corruption, because in the delegate system, once the delegates have been elected or appointed or chosen, as we are beginning to see, at the ward level, at local government level, to make all other determination, the majority of the party's members are usually excluded. And now, you recall that one of the things you see all the time is that because of the delegate system, delegates are like prisoners. They will sew uniform from them. They will put them in the hotel.
Sequestered.
They are sequestered. Candidates who are aspiring members of party do not have access to them. They are locked up in a room. In the morning when they are going to the venue, they are guided to the place. They are not supposed to speak to other members of the party. Those are the shenanigans we have seen over time. And that is why the conversation around the issue of direct primary, as an umpire watching the situation, and Nigerians who are also observing, people see that as something, a movement towards really allowing members of party to have a say in the choice. Because the problem one of the things they don't understand is that if you allow for a true primary process and a popular candidate, a good qualified candidate, have now been elected by majority of members, because it's a simple majority election, the likelihood that it is the same set of people that will also campaign for him and make sure that he wins in an election. But what party have been doing before now was that When they used to have some, connivance with corrupt INEC official in time past. In Nigeria, once you get the ticket of a political party, you are as elected already. But INEC electoral procedures that is about returning power to the people is now really a challenge for them. Now, so talking about the direct primaries.
And just before you continue on that,
Yes.
I just wanted to observe that both direct and indirect are legitimate.
Oh, yes.
They're
under
actually
Section 7,
legitimate.
under the law. They are correct.
Yes.
Under the law.
So
under the law.
it now remains what a party
It's not a
decides
choice.
to do. It's a choice.
Exactly.
But
Now,
what you are doing is that you are highlighting your perception
of both.
Of both.
Now, with respect to the direct primaries, which actually should be the best under the circumstance, because it's like what we call the option A4. You see, option A4 was a process for nomination. And that was why, when it was used in 1992, very many politicians who were merchants, they lost out. But popular people emerged. But here is the only challenge with respect to direct primaries. As we speak today, no political party can present to you a credible register of members.
Yeah, that's one of the biggest problems.
So the question is, if you are going to do a nomination process, assuming in this area, constituency, how are you going to base, what is the total number you're going to base it on? Is it that anybody that just comes and is allowed to vote?
No.
Now, they are supposed to have a register of member. Take note that part of the problem we are having is that, you see, we try to copy other parts of the world. There's nothing wrong in trying to copy other models that are good.
But one moment, I've got to interject here.
Yes.
When you say that, I mean, sitting down there, you would know that no party,
Yes.
those were your words,
Yes.
can actually present
A credible register of
members today
Today, I'm saying
that is known to INEC.
no, of course, not to INEC, and even to their own members.
And that's...
Because
Now, isn't that a big problem?
It's a big problem because all over the world, you all know that INEC cannot conduct election without a credible register of voters. A credible register of voters is the foundation of any election because you normally base the score of the parties on the basis of we have total number of vote cast or total number of registered voters. That's what it is based on.
So
now, for purpose of direct primary, the
Yes.
point we are trying to make here is this.
Yes.
That when we say that they don't have a credible, it doesn't mean that they have some,
They have something.
They have been doing what they call validation of membership and all that. Don't
Yeah.
forget that it's only in this country some time ago when parties will say, look, we want to revalidate membership, and they will expel some people. So in the revalidation process, some people will no longer be allowed to be on the party. But the point we are trying, the significant point here is this, is that a registered member, a party, because of the structure and formation of our political parties, where emphasis has always been on party leaders, executive, structures, all over the place, and not focusing on mass membership and financing. The emphasis is on the elite. And so, with respect to direct primary, which people like us who say that's the best, parties are encouraged to have a registered member. Because, for instance, the Republican, if you go to UK, you go to America, they will tell you, a party member will tell you his own number on the register when he first register as a member, and that number is unique to him. It doesn't change. Those of us who went to university, you know that your matriculation number, up to even when you are graduated, is not given to any other person. So party members in America could say on the register of members of this party as a financier, this is my number when I register 20-something or 30-something years ago. Look at the Republican or the Democrat, for instance, a party that was formed in 1828, 190 years. You could see members telling you the year they register and their number. Republican, formed in 1854, they will tell you their register number. Now, so for us here, how do you explain that since 1999?
And how
that's a challenge.
And how is it that INEC has been conducting elections without this essential aspect of the whole process. So there's a sense in which we've been carrying on in some sort of a compromised way because we have to move forward while keeping an eye on the problem with a view to solving it.
Yori, party formation is a political party. It's an organization of free people who come together and having their own constitution. INEC has no business in respect of issue about their register. The register we use for election is register of voters. We are talking about party register of members. That they should have a register of members. Not talking about caucuses. I mean, we can talk about caucuses and all that. Because the reason why even Australian ballot was introduced was to deal with the issue about caucuses. And so you should have your register of members. But however, whether you adopt indirect primaries or direct primaries, by virtue of Section 85, what INEC has done to assist, to bring sanity, because as a matter of fact, I've always had the view that INEC should not micromanage political parties.
Okay.
That should be a affair of political parties. In fact, when we talk about the INEC developed template, what is the template? INEC has developed template since 2011 to the effect that if you are going to do your primaries, by virtue of Section 85, you give us 21-day notice. But we are going to send people to monitor and observe that primaries. Therefore, your notice will include the date of that exercise, the venue, the committee members, and we will send people down to the place. But what has been happening over the year before the template was developed was that even a few hours to that time, they will change venue. They will not tell their members. They will not also tell INEC. But on Monday, I called a meeting of political parties in Akwa Ibom State. And I said, under the current revised election monitoring template, in the 31 local government of Akwa Ibom State, or wherever you are going to do your primaries, INEC will be there. Our job is to observe the process. Whether there was a committee, whether there was a motion move, whether somebody eventually was elected, what was the score, you will also sign our register that INEC was also there. When you fail to do that, we will simply write our report. It is not the business of INEC to decide who should be a kind of a political. In fact, God forbid that INEC should determine a candidate or should a candidate for a political party, because if the INEC does that, INEC will also have to go and carry the responsibility of campaigning on behalf of that. So we don't do that. Our business is to observe and monitor. But the interesting thing is that we have developed... We have
produced a report at the end of it.
Now, the effect of that report is that why we are saying that, please respect your members. Because if you don't do that, there will be infighting. That will also lead to further defection. You can see the disarray right now among the political class. So the effect of that report is that once the matter is challenged, the outcome of that primary is challenged in court, INEC will go to the court and submit the report.
Okay, because that's what I wanted to know.
What we observe.
So what happens
but
if
what
the report is not favorable?
Yes, but what they have done, and that's why we are looking forward to seeing the president signing the new Electoral Act.
Because I also wanted to find out what is in there for this process.
Absolutely. Section 31 of the Electoral Act had just made INEC just to observe. Even that, it has even almost rendered nugatory the provision of Section 85. Because Section 31 says that once political parties submit names of their candidates to INEC for election, that INEC cannot reject for any reason whatsoever. Now, that was a reaction to the provision of Section 87, subsection 9 of 2010, when shortly after we were appointed in 2010, as we were prepared for 2011. That provision, as we speak today, is still there. So what is expected on the table, Mr. President, is an amendment to the effect that if INEC has visited the venue where primaries was conducted, and Mr. A, after the election of a simple majority, scored 50, and his opponent scored 10, and of course, the first person won that election, INEC was also recorded, just as the committee itself had recorded it. So it's now expected that when you are submitting the names of your candidate as required by Section 31, you will be submitting that name of that person. So the whole provision before was that you cannot submit other than the one that we all witnessed at the primaries. So there was now a midnight amendment as we prepared for 2011. And that led to the press conference I addressed on the 29th of December 2010 in Abuja, when our former chairman, Professor Atta Rujega, we all decried, and in fact, in that press conference, I described what happened as the death, that the removal of subsection 9 of section 87 as the death of internal democracy and its interment.
Because in that case, a candidate could be substituted.
Exactly. So that was what led to, irresponsible substitution. Because that section now says that we cannot do anything. As a matter of fact, we'll speak today. If that bill is not assented to, and of course to be assented to, because the president has shown considerable interest in most of the very profound provisions that are contained in the bill, is that whatever political party will do in this primary that we are going to expect to happen now, and it's going to be challenging, is that INEC will not be able to do anything. And so we are going to be back again to the hands of those who have power. Joseph Scupita, when he talks about fundamental flaws of liberal democracy, he says that the criteria to determine who should be a candidate is not a criteria for the common people. It's a criteria first determined by those who have influence and power. And so the point is that what we call democracy, it may start in the form of democracy as it will appear, is that the reason why we don't want it to happen is that the candidates that are presented to in any election, the candidates that are presented to the electorate are first chosen already by those who have power. Why would it just be a ceremony? Because the Nigerian people, all like any other jurisdiction, the choices they make on election day in 2016, on the 16th and on the 2nd of March, will be based on the choices already made by some people first. And that is why we don't want election rigging, and that's why we frown at election rigging.
How does vote buying factor into all of this?
Look.
I won't say allegation of vote buying. It is there on the ground. How does it factor into this, and is it something that we can really, what can be done about it?
Look, we are not going to start lamenting. I have been speaking to a number of lawmakers that hopefully before they resume, in view of what we have seen, they are going to strengthen the law further. Because vote buying debases the ballot system and our democracy. As a matter of fact, in any society where everything is sold and bought, because today people buy degrees, university degree, academic, they are bought today in our country. Today, people can boast that they can go to court and do anything. Politicians, they do that all the time. We have now gotten to the level of buying of votes. You see, every civilization has a primitive past. The problem I have with our people is that we would like to want to start from the primitive past. In UK, way back in 1774, they had similar problems. What did they do? Attempt to discourage people was difficult. They responded by way of law to the effect that if you are a candidate in an election and a political party, and there are incidences of vote buying traceable to you as a candidate, traceable to the party, that candidate could be banned for certain years from contesting the election in that constituency, or you could be banned for life. Same thing with the political parties, as reflected in the Ballot Act of 1872 and subsequently in 1883. In 2013, just in Kenya here, I was in Kenya in 2013, when election that started on Monday, March 4th in 2013, during the election, the manager of an MP was found with envelopes with monies to buy votes. He was arrested by the police. Election was ongoing. He was arraigned on the 5th of March 2013. He was convicted and jailed for 3 years. An election was ongoing. That was how those matters were dealt with. When it happened in Kenya, I recall, not in this studio, on the other studio, when I came from Kenya, I was on TVC and other stations to share this experience. That this is just Kenya and our neighboring country. When I read that issue, today it now have assumed a very worrisome dimension. Now, you see, the reason why, sometimes...
Because, as you know, our people in the past have talked about fire for fire, dollar for dollar, naira for naira.
All right, so my proposal, my suggestion is that once vote buying, because if you look at Section 130 of the Electoral Act, it says, you will send somebody to jail, but it does not tell you what will happen to the outcome of that election. They're forcing that we must cancel such an election, but we don't have such a law at the moment.
I was going to say
you don't have such a law at the moment. It's not about telling us that you are punishing that person. Good, we should punish the person who bought another.
But the election that has been compromised.
I'm talking about the current state of the law.
Yes.
It doesn't tell you what happens to that. So, in effect, we need a law that in a polling unit, a number of polling units, in a ward or wards or local government where it has been established that there were incidents of vote buying, look, such election should be cancelled.
Yeah,
and we
but
should
at the
go
moment,
after the fact.
It's no more than a moral issue at the moment because we don't have the legal mechanics to back it up.
That is what is now coming in. Similarly, and that's why this Electoral Act is very important. Because...
Is that also in the act on the president's table?
No, there's an aspect of that to it. And that is that to be able to have evidence of vote buying.
Yes, that's the problem.
The Electoral Act has removed the limitation under Section 52 of the Electoral Act to the effect that the use of electronic voting is possible. But interestingly, Section 49, that used to be had only 2 subsections, we now have about up to subsection 11. And what the beautiful thing National Assembly has done is to the effect that a party agent or party agent observers on election day at the polling unit, we shall begin to do recording of all the events. You can record all of them. So if we have a recording of a polling unit or polling units where there are clear evidence.
You're talking about video recording.
Video recording. It's in our Electoral Act, all right, of such things. Those will be provided before a tribunal, and that will lead to the nullification of that election. And so, vote buying, a country where everything is sold and bought, it threatens the moral foundation of such a society.
Indeed.
And such a society is not a viable one.
All right, Mike, the other aspects, and this is really...
It's a reflection of moral decline.
Indeed.
Of that society.
We're going to continue with this. I've just got to take a break and stay with us, please. We'll be right back. And of course, we'll open the phones when the time comes. This is an interesting conversation. Stay with us, please. Okay, welcome back. We got Mike Egini, Resident Electoral Commissioner, Akwa Ibom State, in the studio, and he's been talking about, preparations towards the 2019 election. The Electoral Act is actually on the president's desk. INEC is hopeful that the president will sign it. There's some important aspects in there that Mike has gone through. And we were just talking about some of the issues. We talked about primaries in brief, vote buying also in brief. Now, I want to know the adjudication process, because sometimes the law, that's the way it is, can drag things out. What would be the nature, because I'm sure that must have been provided for as well, what would be the nature of adjudicating disputes when they come up?
First and foremost, the vision and mission of INEC is to be one of the election management bodies that conduct elections that meet the aspiration of the Nigerian people. United Kingdom, for a period of 99 years, had no post-election adjudication. That's the direction we are taking INEC to. Okay. That the commission must be at the service of the Nigerian people. That Nigerian people must take ownership of that process. And so we have developed robust electoral tools to deal with the historical election service delivery crisis. Now, the point is that we want to take responsibility for what we do. And so, but we know that in an activity involving thousands and millions of people, of course, there could be infraction, negligence, act of omission or commission that could affect a return made that may lead to election petition. Now, what has been happening over the years is that, and this is my view, that as an umpire, and I demonstrated that all through wherever I work, and that's what will happen in Akwa Ibom State. And that is that the burden of proving how, if I have conducted the election, which we have been planning for since 2015, printed the ballot papers, recruited and trained ad hoc staff, deployed them to the polling units. After the election, I made a return. I am in custody of the materials. The only stage that two people participated, contestant, was the last day of the election. Now, if there's question as to the credibility of what I have done, common sense dictates, and the law itself has put it there, that it should be me who should come forward to defend the integrity of what I have done by putting forward fact to establish the return that I have made. But what we have is, at the moment, which is very wrong, because I should be, there are boundaries of responsibility and accountability. A petitioner and a respondent, because in any election, the person who complains that a wrong return had been made is usually called the petitioner. The person who has been returned, the winner of the election, is called the respondent. Usually, he usually made the first respondent. INEC that conducted the election is usually made the second respondent.
Is that satisfactory or not?
No, that is the law. That is correct.
The law.
That is correct. But I am saying, this way to some extent is correct. But the area that I am concerned about over the years before I even came to INEC, and when I was in Cross River, I did that, was that INEC truly actually should be the first respondent. It should, because the person I returned in an election only participated with the petitioner. And so I should be the first respondent.
Because you
but there is
this
this evidential axiom. There's this evidential axiom under Section 31 that has been misinterpreted, totally misconceived by my colleagues.
In your view?
In my view, and correctly so, to the effect that he who asserts bears the honor to prove. Now, but that section
which goes up and down, up and down
but
law.
What that section says, all lawyers will go and look at it. Go and read Section 31. It says whoever assert the existence of a fact, that the onus is on him to prove it. Now, in any election petition, somebody will say there was no election in this particular area or in some areas. You know, there are different scenarios. When a petitioner says that INEC under Mikey Guinea in any part of Nigeria conducted an election, and that election in the one local government or two local government did not take place, I would normally make what they call negative assertion. I will be the one to make what they call a positive assertion that no, election took place. Mm-hmm. But the way they are interpreting that section 31, now, in the case, the point now is that where that section says existence of fact, I am saying there was even no fact at all. You are the one saying that there is a fact. Now they are saying that he shouldn't be the one to, it is the first respondent that should go and prove that. I'm saying no, that I am the one who conducted the election. Materials are with me. And that was why, if you look at section 136 of the Evidence Act, which is after section 131, and particular section 140 of the Evidence Act, the law says that if certain facts are especially within the knowledge of a person, it is the onus of proof should be on that person. That is to say, I printed the ballot papers. All the designing, I did all of that. The materials are in my custody. Election will be conducted. There is a challenge. I have a special knowledge of how those things were done. So it should be on me. The idea is that the umpire to be more responsible, in my view. And interestingly, if you look at what INEC has been doing, and the issue we are now seeing in Nigeria now is that they are no longer talking about INEC anymore. If you look at all the challenges we are going to, it's no longer about INEC anymore. I mean, not before now, it's about INEC, it's about INEC. Do you see about INEC anymore? You don't hear that anymore. The problem now is that our quests to return power to the Nigerian people, the elite, who are the greatest enemy of Nigeria, they have realized that the fact that poverty and illiteracy remain the greatest threat to our democracy, and because they also have special interest in having more of the poor people around, what are they doing now? They are now going to buy the people directly. And but before now, they connive with electoral officials and politicians, and that's why people now say, our vote will not count. We have said vote will not count. They are not going to buy them. And that was why Plato said that the common people, they can be dangerous to themselves, that they cannot undermine their own progress. Okay. So by accepting money from people, you are undermining your own future. Because election presents an opportunity for your own representation. Okay, sort of recapping on vote buying there, but also on the education of disputes, you've said that essentially the objective, the quest is to be so robust in the entire process that it becomes a non-issue. We should put that. And it shifts. The body will shift. It will shift in line with section 136. Okay. But how ready are we for this? Because I do believe, Mike, if I heard it right, that the take-up of permanent voters' cards is very slow. Is that a fact? It's true. For instance, in New York, for instance, I got from Abuja a total of 127,069 permanent voters' cards produced following the CVRs on the 27th of April 2017. Okay, the continuous voters registration. Yes, collection. We're talking about collection of PVC now. Okay. The PVC collection is so poor. It's only collected about 27,000 as at Monday, 27,000 plus, having well over 100 and something thousand uncollected. But what we have done in line with that requirement of the law, which is the first time in the history of Nigeria, under the current leadership of Mahmoud, that we are now having a CVR on a continuous basis, is that we have extended the exercise till on the 31st of this month. But you know Nigeria, they want to wait for the last day because it ought to have ended as at suspending the exercise as at on the 17th. But this suspension will commence on the 31st of August and until after 2019 election. All right, so from now till on the 31st of this month, from 9 o'clock to 5 p.m., including Saturdays and Sunday, to enable people, bankers, those who are in essential services and all of that, to be able to avail themselves. You return from church on Sunday, please go to your polling station, to your local government where you are domiciled, to go and register. But after on the 31st, to enable us do the process of producing all of them, returning them back to the state for people to collect and all of that, we shall suspend that exercise as from on the 31st of this month. We'll put it in abeyance until after the 2019 election. But however, collection of PVC continues.
Okay.
Continues to at least a week to, as the commission may announce in due course.
Okay, there's a caller already. Good morning, Mr. George.
Good morning, Uncle Yori, and good morning to Mr. Guinea.
Okay.
Uncle Yori, I have a couple of suggestions for Mr. Guinea.
Sure.
Based on the challenges that have been enumerated, and my sensing that one day this man will become the chairman of INEC. So these suggestions would be either now, if they're not possible now, then maybe for the future. We talked about party registration, register of party members.
Yes.
Why don't you make it a law before the party is even registered at all, that they must have a credible register of members which INEC can rely on and plan with, and updated from time to time. You also talked about direct primaries, either direct or indirect primaries. And you have identified that the direct primary is the way to go. Why don't you amend the legislation that backs it up, making political parties, making it mandatory for political parties to organize direct primaries only, since that will enable the party members to ensure that who they want, who the majority party members want, is the one that will emerge as their candidate. Then the third suggestion I want to make to you, Mike, is about legislative elections. Why is it not possible to separate legislative elections from that of the executive? We have a very big challenge in this country because the lawmakers right at the back of the executive to get there, they do not come to us as the people who vote them to tell us who they are and what they can do for us. Most of the time, people do not know them. If I vote for the presidential candidate, the senator, the House of Reps member, we always hide behind them. Most of the voters do not know them. We want elections to be conducted on a separate day, other than that of the presidential or the governor, so that we will know who these lawmakers are. We will be able to challenge them. They will be able to come to us and address us before we consider them. These are the suggestions I want you to put.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. George.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Very, very, very apt in this suggestion. But very quickly, I have just told you people that electorate are limited by the choices already made by the elites, by the political parties. And so, whether you have the election of the legislator on a separate day, it will remain the same set of people nominated already. The mass of the people, you know, they are usually not at that arena of who becomes what. So we are limited by the choices already made by the political parties. So whether you have it on the same day, on a separate day, even the presidential candidate of what a political party will also do everything to have their nominated candidate in their party to win the election, to be able to support them in terms of their own legislation. So they work together. Look, my friend,
George,
the elite of Nigeria, they know what they are doing. It's only the common people that they have not been able to come together. You see, they know their interests. I mean, are you surprised today that when it comes to local government matter, the governors in Nigeria, they speak with one voice. They belong to one tribe. They belong to one political party. All right? And so, but they know that the common people, because of the challenge of stomach, they are ready to do so many. Otherwise, what you are saying now, if you allow it, and that's why I said, you know, the high primary is more democratic. You understand? But somebody, they will not like it.
Yeah.
They would not like it.
And that's why I was
the issue
saying
about
that
direct primary is still it's a challenging issue.
It is. That's
It's
why
still
I
a
was saying
challenge.
that. Couldn't we simply remove the less good one?
Yes. Now, in the new bill before the president, even whether direct or indirect primary, the lawmakers, they have strengthened it. You know, there's one good thing about the elite when they are quarreling. Every time the elite of a country, they are fighting, it helps us to have better legislation.
Okay.
Because to secure their own future, they have done quite a number of improved suggestions in that electoral act.
Okay.
And it's good sometimes when they quarrel.
Okay, one moment. I got to bring in Saeed. Saeed is in Lekki. Good morning, Saeed. Saeed, can you hear us? Good morning in Lekki. Saeed in Lekki. Apparently, there was some sort of a challenge there.
Even the Electoral Act, this is what we are still expecting. No improvement. Because if you look at Section 137 of the Electoral Act, you know, it says that once a petition is challenged, whether the question is about electoral officer, presiding officer, returning officer, it is INEC that's the respondent who will be deemed to defend that action on behalf of the people we employ. For example, we employed NYC corps members. After the youth service, they travel. Now, the new Electoral Act, proposed Electoral Act, is saying that election disputes should now be more documentary. Because truly, most of the things we do, they are documented. And so it should be documentary. Because if you go to Section 138, whereas on the one hand, INEC had the power to do the following things, and through our guidelines and regulations, which are not contained either in the Electoral Act or in the Constitution, but we have been empowered under Section 160 or 153 to make Section 138, subsection 2. It says that even a presiding officer that failed to comply with our regulation is of no consequence. So on the one hand, you are encouraging people not to even obey rules and regulations because they are what we call operational guidelines. Operational guidelines are usually not contained in the Constitution or in the Electoral Act. And that is a problem.
But so these guidelines cannot be enforced.
The new Electoral Act have addressed that issue.
Okay. Mr. ADESHINA in Ojo, Lagos, good morning.
Good morning, Okuyori.
Good morning, sir.
Good morning to your guests in the studio.
Mr. Egini.
Thank you.
Okuyori, there is a medical parlance. There is a saying, there is an issue about talking therapy. And this is what I mean. Your guest, each time he's on studio, I admire him so much. And in his antecedent, the way he has been talking about electoral issues, I pray one day he will become the electoral chairman of this country. Now, Okuyori, the challenging so much is fully on the masses. I just want to narrow it on the vote buying. You see, if we keep on engaging with it, masses need to be more educated and enlightened about the danger they are doing to themselves in receiving money from the elite to cast their vote to support those money. Now, look at it this way. If a politician is spending 2 billion naira to buy a vote, and you now consider if this money is so much, he can do a lot in that community, in that area, than spending that money at that particular time. Now, Okuyori, you see, until we keep on engaging the people and talking to the people, and be enlightened to take decision, make a choice, a right choice, that if I should collect this money, it's going to take me for the next 4 years of suffering. We will not get anywhere. Now, you see, I want to say this. We need people like Mr. Mike in your studio, about if we can get one of each in every state of this country to fix things in the right place. And again, I want to tell you, it's not a rocket science for we to fix this right. In UK, in Western world, look at how they are doing their own countries. Compared to our own, we are not from different climes. We are not from another climate. We can fix this thing and we can get this thing right. We can get the right people in the right places to lead us as a nation. Until we begin to do the right thing, we won't get anywhere. And it cannot be only in one, telling us the truth. Coming out. I pray that one day we get to the top to ensure that this is the right to the people.
Indeed.
I will put this right. Thank you. Good morning.
Thank you very much, Mr. Adeshina, and good morning. And I was just going to observe that in almost all of the states, we do have a resident electoral commissioner, in almost. Right, Mike? I mean...
No, well, except there's data don't have electoral commissioner at the moment.
That's right.
So it is one thing that both the...
No, I just related
right.
when that man said, we would love to have this in every state of the country.
People are very busy right now. We are working very busy.
So that is the point I'm making, that as they are seeing you, you are Akwa Ibom.
People are also complaining that they have not been seeing much of me and not that. But I'm not saying, how do I now be doing this? In fact, that's one area that the civil society should continue to do, because quite at the moment, I'm a bit very worried that the level of civic activity is not very high, you know.
And that's because I think it has been said, it has been suggested that people have become jaded. People think that, look, it doesn't matter, this system is so rotten, your vote will not count. You actually referred to this, that INEC is doing everything to make sure
no more complaint about INEC anymore.
Exactly.
No more ballot box. You go to somewhere, you write result somewhere. It will not work. It has no consequence. The use of violence, it will not work. All of this will not work anymore.
Okay. Taufik in Oshogbo, good morning.
Good morning, Oshiyori.
Good morning, sir. Please go ahead with your comment or question.
Good morning, Mr. Ogini.
Good morning.
Yeah. My question is this. I will so much appreciate it if Mr. Ogini can push it forward. Let's always have a direct primary. For instance, now, in our show now, thank God we have it on the APC party. But though there are issues, what are the issues? People feel, why is it coming up at the dying minute? As a matter of fact, I observed the primary and I so much, like the way it goes. Because it really shows how the party members too can be inclusive in strengthening the political party. So which I would love for political parties to embark that, whether PDP or etc. And secondly, they have to even make every locality to select the person that they really want to lead them. Let's say, for example, the councillorship takes place within our terrain. We'll be able to decide who do we want. Send to the chairman of the local government and send to the state legislators. So when they want to use the power of their issuing whoever they wish that for the National Assembly, then they can that's the only place they can be able to achieve a little. So with that, we can strengthen the political way or where we are with the position of the country proper. And from there, we start getting good leadership because we can challenge them. This is what we want, and this is how we want it to go. That them imposing somebody or not. So please, I want them to talk more about direct entry. Don't give them options. Well, the moment you give them options, they pick the option side.
Okay. Thank you.
Nigeria.
Indeed. Thank you very much. We talked about direct.
I know, yes, of course. No, the argument he's making is that rather than give them option of either direct or indirect, let us agree on one form of
which is what
primary.
Mr. George, the first caller,
that's
actually suggested.
Yes.
So why don't we take out the other one, the problematic one?
Yes. Because that one is fraught with corruption. It doesn't allow for, the members of the party really to be really involved. Because when you say delegate, you are picking people on behalf of others to make a decision.
Okay, Mazi Okoroafo in Arochukwu, good morning, sir.
Good morning, sir. Good morning, Honorable Mike.
Morning.
Honorable sir, you see, now that election is around the corner, just last week, 23 more political parties were registered. I want to find out from Mr. Mike, will INEC register more political parties before the election? I'm asking this because the level of illiteracy in Nigeria is too high to register any political. That's my own suggestion. Even as you were rightly talking about matric, even as I'm talking to you, I know my matric number of 1982 university as I'm talking to you now. Now, as a country, Nigeria is a good strategic formulation people, but we have problem of strategic implementation. To me, if they say recommend, I will recommend you as the next INEC chairman after the president, Ogamamu. Thank you very much. Have a pleasant day.
Thank you very much, Mazi.
But we were talking about...
you mean the point he made?
Yes.
Before he actually before he distracted us with you becoming the INEC chairman, which was very well. In fact, well, I think he was just sort of emphasizing that the suggestion you made about strengthening the membership register.
Yes.
You recall he said that he can remember his own matric number in his university, and that, I think he was saying that we need to go along those kind of lines.
Yes.
That is the kind of thing to be encouraged.
Yes,
but,
yes.
But he also, the main question was, is INEC likely to register more parties in the interest of freedom of association and all of that?
Before 2019, the process of registration of parties have been put in abeyance. There will be no more registration. It will be in abeyance for now. At the moment, we have 91 political parties.
2 minutes.
91 political parties in Nigeria. You know, it's frightening because where does it take us to? I'm just imagining how the ballot paper will look like for 2019.
But the
issue is this.
Has done that job.
I was part of that. I was part of that.
Okay.
The point is this. In other jurisdictions, in America, in UK, in that part of the world, they have several political parties. What is done is that the condition to be on a ballot existing in line with Section 40, freedom of association, no problem. But to be on the ballot requires another threshold.
Okay.
That is what is required. And that is why if we truly have democratic local government in Nigeria, most of the political parties, they will win local government and they will be operating at that level. So you go gradually over time. But that is not what we have in our country at the moment.
So in answer to the question, and we don't have any more time, whether INEC is going to register.
No, we are not going to do another restriction anymore. It's in abeyance for now. All right? While we are preparing for 2019. But I think my last take on the 2019
in 15 seconds.
Indeed, is that INEC is preparing. We have done piloting of so many things to bring about increased credibility, transparency to election. For my people in Akwa Ibom, say where I'm going to work, or anywhere I'm going to work, it should be noted that it is only the will of the people that will be expressed at the polling unit that will determine who becomes what.
That is
just as we are calling on the nation that the issue about security is a very serious issue that we must look at as we are going to 20 in terms of the security agencies.
Indeed.
Like INEC, we must all remain neutral.
That's something
neutrality of INEC, as we have continued to maintain, and that of security, very paramount for 2019
It's a very, very important point to end on, and I wish I had more time to look into security, but I want to thank you very much because it's been very enlightening, all the other things you've talked about. Honorable Mike Igini, Resident Electoral Commissioner, Akwa Ibom State. It's always a delight and an information, extravaganza whenever you come on. Thank you very much for coming on. Indeed. So that's our program. Please join us tomorrow for a fresh edition. And by the way, tomorrow, I guess we're back with the ties and the jackets. In other words, we're back to full work. Barka de Salah.